Hello. It's been a minute since I've posted any video out here to the channel, and I was thinking about that the other day, and I've been terribly delinquent in putting anything out there. Not that I haven't been out and doing things, I just haven't gotten around to videoing any of it. So I thought I'd go for a little hike today and take you guys on one of my favorite little short trails here in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. Welcome to Mount Nittany. Take a hike up to the top, show you the view, and tell you what I've been up to, and a couple of things I got planned that will definitely be content for the channel coming up. So let's take a little walk, and I'll tell you what I've been up to. All right. Well, for anybody that's not familiar with what Happy Valley is or Mount Nittany, this is kind of the home of Penn State University, State College, Pennsylvania, my alma mater, and was up here this weekend for a football game with some buddies and decided I needed a little hike in the woods up to Mount Nittany, clear the head, and it's good for the soul. So I got my orange gear on today because it's the second day of bear season here in Pennsylvania, and there are bear up here. People have seen bear up here. I don't think you can hunt on Mount Nittany, but you may be able to. So I saw down at the trailhead, there's actually free orange vests that you can borrow if you want to hike up here. So good to have it on. And one of my friends said I'll probably see a bear since it's bear season. And yeah, so there's a couple different routes to get to the top. I'm taking the longer, less steep one, about a mile up. And then there's a bunch of trails around the top. We'll just loop around a little bit. I don't know, maybe we'll do 3 or 4 miles, just something easy. And then get back in time to start watching some NFL football later today. So that's where we're heading. Well, it wouldn't be hiking in Pennsylvania, would it, if there weren't a lot of rocks. See all the way up. This part of the trail is blue blazed. Some of the other parts of the trail are white blazed. A little blue and white action for Penn State. And we're almost there. This is about the steepest part. We're heading up there. Not bad at all. But it's pretty windy. Saw one other hiker. Haven't seen any hunters. That's a good thing. Don't want to bother anybody while they're hunting. Don't want anybody to think I'm a bear. Alright, keep going. Alright, so at the top of that first climb, about a mile up, we're going to end up down that way. I don't know why this big pile of rocks is here, but it is, and this is where a bunch of trails intersect. We're going to stay on this one and head about half a mile this way, and then there's like a loop about another mile, goes around that way, and then we'll start making our way back over here. Let's see if we see any wildlife out here. Now it's a blue and white trail. We are. Alright, hello again. Got on the other side of this ridge and the wind died down a little bit, so I thought maybe I'd give you a little update on what's been happening. I think the last videos I posted was at the end of my trip to Spain on the Camino de Santiago, and when I finished up in Finisterre with my buddy Raymond, and it's been a long, busy summer, a lot going on. Immediately got home, and a couple weeks later went to see my son graduate. My youngest son graduate from college. He is now gainfully employed and doing his thing, which is cool. And then a few weeks after that, took a trip over to England to see my other son, who's going to grad school there, row in a regatta. He's the rower. And then a few weeks later, went back over, watched him race at the Royal Henley Regatta, which was pretty cool. Maybe I'll try and post some pictures from some of these things while I'm talking. You guys don't need to stare at me the whole time. But yeah, and then I did a little hiking, not a ton. I was kind of trying to get back into doing some other stuff like playing golf, which I hadn't done a lot in a while. But in September, went on a like a guided trip with a group called Backroads. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them, but I highly recommend them. They do a fantastic job. We went up to Glacier National Park and did some biking there, and then we biked into Canada to Waterton National Park. Then we went a little further up and did some whitewater rafting, and then we ended up in Banff and did some hiking up there. I was going to video some of that, but I couldn't do any of the video when we were biking. I don't have a GoPro, and I'm not going to try to video and hold my phone while I'm riding on the bike, and couldn't do it rafting. And then, you know, I kind of realized, I mean, going on a group tour is fun because there's people to hang out with at night and stuff like that, but I prefer kind of a little more quiet when I hike. And when you're hiking with a group of like 20 people, there's a lot of people that are chit-chatting and not sort of just soaking in, you know, the surroundings. And so, you know, I was going to video with 20 people around. And by the second day of hiking, I told the guides I wanted to fall back and kind of hang out by myself and not to worry about me. I wasn't going to get lost. So they kind of gave me some space, and I was kind of hiking by myself in the way in the back of the pack. But it was good. It was, they did a fantastic job, like I said. So definitely would recommend that. Yeah. So, and then we did one other trip like a month later. Went out and checked out Zion National Park and hiked Angel's Landing, hiked the Narrows, and then drove over to the town of Kanab and did some hiking in a slot canyon there. I think it was called Wire Pass down the Buckskin Gulch. Try to throw a couple of pictures up of that. And now it's football season, and I've been coming up here for football games, tailgating, and it's just wrapping up. And we'll figure out what is next. So I'll fill you in on that. I'm going to get a little more miles under me here, and then I'll fill you in on some of the things I'm thinking about next. There will definitely be content for the channel. See ya. All right, so as I'm hiking around Mount Nittany, it kind of occurs to me that some people may be wondering, why is it called Mount Nittany, and what in the heck is a Nittany lion? So, I'll give you a little bit of the local lore, and you'll understand why it's called Mount Nittany, and why we have Nittany lions. So the legend has it that the Native American tribe that lived in this area had a ruler, and the ruler had a daughter, Princess Nittany, Nit-A-E-N-E-E, Nittany. And said princess one time wandered off and walked up the mountain, never to be seen again. And so the mountain was named after her, Mount Nittany, and the lions that roamed it became the Nittany Lions. And they became the mascot for the university at some point later. So that is where Nittany Lion comes from. I'm a storyteller and hiker. I'm not an academic, so you can't fact check me on that, but I will tell you it is the local lore, and everybody around here believes it. So that's Mount Nittany. And we're coming around. I'm about almost 3 miles in, and we got to make our way. We're kind of facing south here, so State College is back through these woods over there. We'll have a nice view of it right before the end, so I'll show you that in a bit. All right, so of course I get to the place with a view, and the wind is kicking up pretty heavy. But here's a little area right here. People come and sit, and they look out over Happy Valley. That's the university right up there. Right over there, Beaver Stadium. The Lions play. They won yesterday. Otherwise, ugly season. But hopefully you can hear this. The wind is starting to howl. It's a great view. Fun place to hang. And I'm gonna make my way down the mountain. Alrighty, almost downhill. Back to the car. About 4.5 miles. Nothing big. Just a good little walk in the woods. So what's next? What am I going to do for a real hike? I'm thinking I want to do something for like 6 to 8 weeks in March and April. March and April. I'm going to be back by early May. We have a big golf tournament we're hosting at the golf club I belong to. We're hosting the PGA Championship, which is one of the big 4 majors in golf, and that's like the second week in May. So I want to be back like a week before that, and I'm volunteering to help out with that, and want to watch some of that as well. So I've got a window that I want to fill for like 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm thinking about maybe part of the Florida Trail. I couldn't get all of that in, obviously, it's too long. Maybe combine the Pinhoti and the Benton MacKay Trail, or go out west and do the Arizona Trail. I think that's the one I would most like to do, and I'm gonna do a little more research. Oh, here's some people walking up. Hello.
Hi.
And I'm gonna do a little more research, figure that out, and finalize my decision by like late December. So I'll throw something else out there in early January, let you know where I'm heading. And then I'm definitely going to do next October. My brother and I signed up to do this thing called Everesting 29029. If anybody's ever heard of that or seen it, check out their website. It's an organization that does these planned hikes up mountains. You got to hike up the mountain enough times to get the equivalent of 29,029 feet of elevation gain, the height of Everest. So he and I are going to do that next October at Stratton Mountain in Vermont, which should be fun and challenging. So I will definitely be putting content out for all of that, and try to squeeze some stuff in between as well. And just wanted to check in and say hello to everybody. Wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, which is coming up later this week, and I will see you down the trail.